Piano Comics presents 5 activity pages for D minor. Those pages are given for free, just contact us. So let's get started. First page, as usual, has to do a little bit with theory, some food for thought. We are giving here the names of the staircase of our scale, or as we will call them later on in harmony, the degrees. It's a good practice to kind of prepare your students for things that they're going to learn later on in music theory and also harmony, and also for yourself when you're trying to introduce some kind of improvising or composing to your students with some very basic rules, chords and steps. So let's get started. Our first step or stair or degree, as we will call it in music later on in harmony, is called the tonic. I call it with my students also the king. We are now in the kingdom of D minor, so our king, our basic and most important note is the king, the first step. Now, the second step is called supertonic, or the second degree. The third degree is called median. The fourth degree, subdominant. I also call it the prince, because I'm already preparing my students for this. The first, the tonic chord, the subdominant chord, and the dominant chord, later on for our composing and improvising exercises. So, fourth degree, subdominant or prince. Fifth degree, again, the second most important after the tonic is the dominant or the queen. And now, the sixth step, which we use in minor scales too, in the melodic kind, submediant. The seventh and our last, the leading tone, which again we will use in our harmonic minors. After playing the natural D minor, if I want to make out of it the harmonic minor, ask your student, which step, which degree I had to change? The seventh. Okay, tell me its name now that you've learned it, not just the number, the leading tone. And where does it lead? Why is it called like that? 99% of the times it will lead to our king. And then again, you can make questions as in, okay, what is the dominant, what key is the dominant of E minor? The dominant is the fifth degree, E minor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So B key is the dominant of E minor. Or who is the king of D major scale? What did we say? King is the tonic, or the most important degree, the most important person in the scale, so it's going to be D. Who is the prince of A minor? What was the prince? It was the subdominant. 1, 2, 3, or the fourth degree. It's the D key. And again, you can create your own questions. Now, let's move on to the second page. A little bit of action, and again, exercising speed. We're going to place same fingers. We're going to use the 16th note durations, and we're going to use the same fingers. 4, 3, 2, 1 at the same time. I'm going to show it slowly. So this is easy because I have to give one order for the fingers. For my both hands, I'm always playing with the same combination, the same sequence of the same fingers. So now I can concentrate on raising, on speeding up, because the fingers are relatively easy. So we work on one element at a time. Finishing on my second finger, index finger, both hands. And going down, same way I went up. And do this for the harmonic and melodic. D D minor scale as well. If you see that your student is already, this habit in their brain will be very fast asserted. So you can then ask them, if you see that they're doing it already kind of by instinct, automatically, ask them to speed up. And remind them that it's as if they're putting salt in their food. They have to be very close. They have to attack the key from a very short, a very close distance, and not give 4 different orders for each fingers. Now let's move on for our third activity page of D minor, which has some polyphonic exercises for our hands. So we're going to put different functions, or voices, as we're going to call them, for different fingers, even though they can belong on the same hand. The easiest thing is to say that I'm going to play 2 voices, the higher and the lower, at the same time, and also playing in unisono, let's say. Now, let's introduce the choir to our students and explain the 2 male voices, the 2 lower and lowest voices, from the lowest to the highest, and then 2 female voices. So we're going to have the bass, the tenor, or let's move on here so that you can see it in the camera, bass, tenor, alto, and soprano. Now all together, they sing all together here now. Now, let's create an exercise where the bass and the alto are not moving at all. They're just playing the tonic, the king, and the rest of the job is done by tenor and soprano. And they play the same melody. And then you can ask questions to your students. Who did the easiest job here? Which voice? Or ask them to break it down. Ask your student to play only the tenor. That way their eyes are getting used to seeing vertically the scores and deciphering which voices are which, even though they may belong and be played by the same hand. This is a very good exercise for then introducing polyphonic pieces, especially by Bach. Now, in the second example, the laziest voices will become the soprano and the tenor, and the work is going to be done by the bass and the alto. Again, here you can ask questions. Let's play only the tenor and the alto. So that the exercise also with their eyes, where to look at, how to decipher voices, make different combinations of voices, which is a very useful exercise of when you'll teach your students how to study a fuga. So this is about our polyphonic exercises. Now, fourth page. To work smarter and not harder, as usual. So, you're introduced already the king, the queen, and the prince. So now we are in the kingdom of D minor. Ask your students again, who is the king? D key. Who is the queen? The dominant degree. Or the 5th degree. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The queen is A key. Who is their prince, their kid? G key. The subdominant, or the 4th degree. Now, let's place them in the clef palace. Only the left hand will play now. The king, the prince, the queen, and the king. With your right hand, ask your students to compose something, whatever they want, with whatever note durations, sharps or flats, whatever they'd like. I'm now going to improvise. Now, let's dress our kings and queens and their prince a little bit more. Let's place some clothes on them. Or harmonically, as you can understand, we're giving a little bit of depth. We're giving a little bit of more musicality to our small piece. Again, ask your students to co-create with you. You can play actually the left hand while they compose something on the right. Let's not forget our key signatures, right? And you can ask them also to play instead of C, C sharp, and use the kind of the harmonic minor. Now let's dress our king and queen and prince officially, which in harmony means that we're gonna create more correct voice, leading voices. Now again, let's compose something that will not also doesn't look alike with the previous ones. Keep insisting with your students not to repeat themselves. Now that was a little bit more, a lot of improvising, but again, your students can do whatever they'd like. And they can also finish and start with the king, or not start with the king, but at least finish in the tonic with the king key. And now our fifth and last page, let's wrap it up. Playing the chords and their inversions, going down, remembering the fingers. We have talked about the fingers and the chords in the previous E minor activity pages. Then the 3 voice arpeggios. Sorry. The 4 voice arpeggios, if your students have bigger hands, you have like beginners from 10 or 12 years old, and their fingers, hands can stretch. Then the chromatic scale, which has very easy finger rules. On the black keys we only place the 3rd finger, and you can find the 3 golden rules for the fingers in chromatic scales on our first activity pages of A minor. And now ask your students to co-create their own arpeggios. Make your fingers dance a little bit on the arpeggios. Let's say we already know this. Okay, let's make it a little bit more active. Let's dance a little bit with it. Then you can do the same thing with the inversions. If they play it already and understand what an inversion is and their eyes can move in D minor, then let's make it make another dance. And then ask them to create their own dance. Again, I'm gonna now improvise, have no idea how I'm gonna do this. So again, ask your students to also complete and create their own arpeggios. They will be much more willing to practice the things that they created by themselves in the lesson. Enjoy your exercises and keep on practicing.